In Britain, time does not merely pass. It pours, steeped like tea. Across quiet tables and bustling cafés, the ritual of afternoon tea still unfolds, a ceremony of pause, of civility, of savoring. Once defined by lace gloves and silver spoons, it now dances with oat milk, matcha, and the hum of conversation over laptops. Yet beneath every reinvention, one truth remains. The cup still gathers warmth, and the world slows to sip. Modernity may remix the menu, but the essence endures: connection, grace, and the poetry of stillness in a restless age. There are few things more British than the act of stopping for tea. In a nation that thrives on motion, trains rushing, cities pulsing, clocks chiming, the afternoon tea remains a collective breath. It began as necessity, a soft interruption in the long space between lunch and supper, but became a ritual of rhythm and repose. To pour, to stir, to sip, these are gestures that tame the day. Within them lies the quiet insistence that life deserves ceremony, however small, however daily. In Victorian parlors, the tea table became a stage. Lace, porcelain, and conversation intertwined like fragrance and steam. But today, the ritual is finding new forms, reborn in boutique cafés, infused with global flavors, served with oat scones or vegan pastries. The world changes, yet the essence does not. Each cup is a small, graceful protest against haste, a way of reminding ourselves that pause is still a kind of power. The modern generation has reclaimed tea as an art of balance. Some take it between meetings, others turn it into mindful retreats, matching ancient ritual with present rhythm. The fine china may have shifted to glass mugs, the silver spoons replaced by stainless steel, yet the silence between sips remains holy. Afternoon tea no longer belongs to drawing rooms. It belongs to everyone who chooses to breathe in flavor and breathe out fatigue. To drink tea is to participate in continuity, the timeless pause that connects generations. What once echoed in candlelit parlors now hums in minimalist cafes and garden terraces. The British have never truly abandoned tradition. They've merely taught it to evolve. In each swirl of steam, there is nostalgia and novelty entwined. The pause endures, modernized, democratized, and poured anew for every age that refuses to rush its soul. It began in the parlors of the privileged, silver trays gleaming under candlelight, porcelain cups trembling with the hush of etiquette. Afternoon tea was once a private kingdom, reserved for the few who could afford to sip time itself. Ladies in lace spoke in low tones, their gestures as delicate as the pastries they shared. Every pour of Darjeeling or Earl Grey was performance, an unspoken art of refinement, a pause sculpted into ceremony. But tradition, like tea, seeps beyond its vessel, finding its way into the hearts of those who crave warmth more than spectacle. As centuries turned and industries rose, the ritual escaped its gilded confines. It wandered from manor to terrace, from duchess to daughter, from servants' whisper to family chatter. The china grew plainer, the pastries humbler, yet something sacred remained. A mother stirring sugar on a rainy Tuesday carried the same grace as a countess under chandeliers. The clinking of spoons became the music of modest homes, and the table, once set for display, turned into a haven for belonging. The grandeur softened, but the soul endured, the quiet civility of pausing, of being together, of savoring something simply human. Then came cafés and city corners, where tea met motion, where commuters traded silver spoons for takeaway cups. And still, the ritual adapted. The lace curtains gave way to steam-streaked windows. The delicate tiered stands became glass counters gleaming with scones and smiles. Yet the essence of that pause remained intact. Whether served in porcelain or paper, the act still whispered of gentleness, an inheritance of warmth carried in modern hands. The British spirit of grace had learned to live not in opulence, but in the ordinary. Today, afternoon tea belongs to everyone, a democratic luxury, brewed in both tradition and change. It is the heartbeat of the in-between hours, where heritage meets habit, and ceremony finds its echo in everyday life. From castles to cafes, from polished silver to ceramic mugs, tea has crossed the boundaries of class without spilling a drop of its dignity. What was once a ritual of rank is now a rhythm of grace. poured freely, shared widely, and forever, quintessentially British. The scent of tradition still lingers, but now, it mingles with invention. Across Britain, the afternoon tea ritual has been stirred anew by hands unafraid of change. Modern chefs treat the tea table as a canvas, painting with flavor, color, and form. Pastries no longer just please the palate. They tell stories of fusion and freshness. Matcha folded into shortbread, jasmine whipped into cream, Earl Grey reborn as foam. The ritual breathes again, not as nostalgia, but as a living art form. What was once about repetition now delights in reinvention. Tea sommeliers, the new keepers of calm, speak of leaves as poets do of words. They curate experiences, not just cups, balancing heritage with surprise. A single pot may blend Ceylon's brightness with hibiscus blush, or carry the earthy sigh of oolong through the sweetness of honeyed rose. Their work is quiet innovation, steeped in respect, served with courage. In their hands, the tradition bends without breaking, bowing gracefully to a generation that seeks authenticity over formality, pleasure over pretense. Designers, too, have entered the conversation, reimagining what a tea setting can mean. Porcelain gives way to stoneware, lace to linen, excess to essence. Tables become small theaters of simplicity, where geometry meets gesture and minimalism frames the ritual in light. A single bloom replaces the bouquet, a handmade cup replaces a gilded set. In this aesthetic of less, meaning grows more. The table no longer performs, it breathes, it listens, it invites. And so, the old and new sit together, like two friends across the same pot. The past lends its grace, the present brings its boldness. This reinvention is not rebellion, it is reverence in motion, a quiet evolution of taste and time. Each pour, each bite, each gesture whispers. Tradition is not something to preserve in glass, but something to pour, to pass, to savor anew. In the hands of modern Britain, afternoon tea is no longer a relic. It is a renaissance, steeped in creativity, served with soul. The teapot no longer sings one song. Its notes now wander the world, from the misted hills of Darjeeling to the gardens of Kyoto, from Moroccan souks to Nordic forests. Britain's tea ritual, once bound by Earl Grey's bergamot sigh, now swirls with curiosity. Cups bloom with turmeric, lemongrass, cacao, and rose. The modern table hums with scent and story, each blend a quiet passport, steeped in both memory and exploration. Tradition, once guarded, now opens its palm to the world. What was once a uniform fragrance has become a symphony of infusions. Loose leaves meet botanicals once foreign to British soil, hibiscus for vibrance, mint for clarity, chamomile for calm. This is no rebellion. It's expansion, a recognition that tea, like time, moves forward by gathering what it meets. Each sip carries the hush of old drawing rooms and the hum of new cities, a bridge between continents, between then and now. Behind every blend stands an artist, part alchemist, part dreamer. They treat water as stage and leaf as muse, crafting balance from contrast. Smoky lapsang meets lavender's hush, spice chai dances with citrus peel. The result is not just a drink, but a dialogue, a liquid form of conversation between cultures. These infusions do not erase Earl Grey. They let him breathe beside new voices. In their mingling, there's harmony, not dilution, but evolution. And so, tea becomes not just British, but beautifully borderless. It reflects a nation that listens, that absorbs, that transforms. The ritual remains, the pause, the pour, the reflection, but what fills the cup has changed. Now, it carries the pulse of a modern world, the scent of shared humanity. Beyond Earl Grey lies a horizon of endless warmth, proof that even the oldest traditions can bloom again, richer for every root they embrace. The modern British tea table no longer obeys the symmetry of the past. Where once porcelain gleamed in perfect sets, now a quiet chaos reigns. Mismatched china, handmade cups, uneven saucers kissed by glaze and imperfection. The table has become a canvas of individuality, a story told in textures and tones. Linen folds like calm water beneath earthenware plates, steam curls through filtered light, and every detail whispers intention. The ritual has shifted from performance to presence. It's no longer about perfection, it's about poetry made tangible. Minimalism has arrived not to erase, but to clarify. A single bloom in a jar replaces the crowded bouquet. A small plate of pastries glows like art against clean porcelain. Each element is chosen, not collected, a meditation in material form. The clutter of expectation has lifted, and what remains feels sacred. Even the silence between pours feels designed, not emptiness, but space for appreciation. The modern table speaks softly, but with depth. It invites the eye to linger, the hand to pause, the heart to notice. And yet, amidst this serenity, playfulness returns. Plant-based pastries blush with beetroot, pistachio, and coconut cream. Lemon drizzle finds new company in cardamom. Shortbread carries whispers of matcha. Bakers sculpt memory into modernity, honoring nostalgia while crafting something entirely new. Even the milk, once simple and unquestioned, now asks for choice. Oat, almond, soy. The table becomes a reflection of identity, fluid, evolving, kind. This reimagined scene is not a departure from history, but its quiet continuation. The lace has given way to linen, the formality to feeling. Still, the spirit remains. Connection over cup and crumb, beauty found in pause. It is no longer about serving, but about sharing. Every table, from minimalist studio flat to countryside kitchen, becomes an altar of simple grace. Here, the modern British tea ritual finds its heartbeat, unadorned yet abundant, precise yet poetic. The table, once a symbol of class, now stands as a portrait of mindfulness, a still life painted in steam, scent, and sincerity. In an age of speed and scrolling, the teacup rises again, not as relic, but as remedy. The world spins faster than ever, yet within the curve of porcelain, time bends differently. Cafés dim their lights and hush the noise, replacing notifications with the sound of pouring water, slow and deliberate. Here, the simple act of brewing becomes an act of rebellion. Steam replaces screens. Stillness replaces scrolls. The tea table is no longer about ceremony. It is about sanctuary. In every sip, a slowing. A reminder that presence is not a luxury, but a lifeline. Across Britain, a quiet renaissance is unfolding. Digital detox tea rooms hum with gentle conversation, their walls lined with warmth instead of Wi-Fi. Friends meet not to post, but to pause. Strangers share tables and stories, rediscovering the rhythm of unhurried connection. The clink of a teaspoon feels like punctuation in a spoken poem, delicate, deliberate, grounding. Even in the heart of cities, where rush defines routine, tea restores ritual. It asks nothing but attention, and in return, it gives back everything we forget. Calm, company, care. Hospitality, too, finds its new voice through this revival. Hosts offer cups not as service, but as gesture, small acts of human kindness steeped in modern grace. The tradition evolves, yet the intention deepens. Baristas become guides of mindfulness, sommeliers of stillness. Loose leaves unfurl like thoughts released, blending jasmine with conversation, chamomile with laughter. The old etiquette softens, pinkies down, eyes lifted. It's not about how you hold the cup, but how you hold the moment. And so, the ritual renews itself, not by chasing novelty, but by returning to what was always sacred, connection. In every digital age, a human pulse endures, steady, slow, steeped in meaning. Afternoon tea, once bound to time and class, now becomes a quiet movement of mindfulness. It teaches us again to gather, to breathe, to belong. The revival is not loud, it doesn't need to be. It lives in the hush between sips, where the world, for a fleeting instant, feels beautifully still. Tea, once a symbol of empire, now a bridge of cultures. What arrived on British shores centuries ago as cargo has become conversation, reinterpreted by every hand that stirs it. The leaf that once spoke of power now whispers of exchange, a fragrant diplomacy steeped in memory and reinvention. From India's sun-soaked hills to the misted terraces of China, from Kenyan fields to Ceylon's emerald slopes, the world's stories mingle in every British pot. The past, complex and bittersweet, meets the present, a cup shared, not claimed. Today's British tea culture wears a new face: cosmopolitan, inclusive, alive. London tea rooms echo with accents from every corner of the globe. Matcha meets Earl Grey. Masala chai swirls beside bergamot. Vietnamese iced tea cools next to Darjeeling's golden warmth. What was once one nation's tradition has become a mosaic of many, stitched together by curiosity and care. The colonial thread unravels, and in its place, a tapestry of collaboration blooms. Heritage becomes dialogue, a conversation between histories that once stood apart. Modern tea artisans honor this fusion with reverence and imagination. In sleek city cafés, chai is poured with ceremony. Moroccan mint is served with flourish. Ceramics inspired by Japanese wabi-sabi hold Kenyan black tea, British scones meet. Middle Eastern rose jam. Every table becomes a map of shared origins. Every sip a translation of taste. No longer about ownership, it is about offering, a collective artistry brewed in understanding. The teapot, once a vessel of empire, now holds the promise of empathy. Through this global lens, the ritual of tea finds new meaning. It becomes not just about flavor, but about reconciliation, the quiet rewriting of old stories through shared experience. Tea teaches humility, that no culture owns the pause, the pour, the peace it brings. The British ritual, reborn in many tongues and colors, proves that beauty thrives where borders blur. What was once the world's commodity is now the world's communion, steeped in diversity, poured with grace, and served with the warmth of belonging. Time moves, tastes change, and yet the quiet remains. The teacup still waits, warm between two hands, holding something more than liquid. It holds stillness, that rare and deliberate pause in a hurried world. Long after porcelain was perfected and rituals reimagined, tea endures as the gentle rebellion against haste. It reminds us that to sip slowly is to live fully, that the smallest moments often hold the deepest grace. The modern world hums and flickers, yet within the swirl of screens and schedules, a simple truth persists. Connection begins in stillness. Around the table, friends lean closer. In offices, steam curls over late afternoon conversations. In solitude, the ritual becomes prayer. Tea doesn't demand attention, it invites it, softly. It gathers the fragments of thought and anchors them in presence. Whether poured from silver pots or sustainable thermoses, it is the same language, one of comfort, civility, and care. The British ritual, once rigid in etiquette, now breathes freely. Less about the perfect pour, more about the perfect pause. It lives in laughter between generations, in modern ceramics and ancient blends, in every shared silence that follows a pour. Its essence is not bound to time or tableware. It resides in the very act of stopping, of letting the world slow just enough for the heart to catch up. In that moment, tea becomes not just tradition, but meditation. So as Britain's tea ritual continues to evolve, minimalist or ornate, plant-based or classic, its soul remains untouched. The world around it may rush, rebrand, and reinvent, but the meaning stays steeped in something unchanging. Presence, pause, connection. These are the true ingredients, untouched by fashion or era. And so, every cup poured in every age carries the same quiet promise that no matter how the world transforms, tea will always remind us to come home to ourselves. Afternoon tea, once a quiet pause between hours, has become a mirror reflecting Britain's evolving soul. From silver trays and lace to ceramic minimalism and global blends, the ritual endures, reshaped, yet never replaced. It remains a ceremony of calm amid a restless world, a moment where steam, silence, and story intertwine. Today, the cup holds more than tea. It holds time, the lingering warmth of tradition meeting the pulse of modern life. Whether poured in a grand hotel or a modest kitchen, the act is the same, a slowing down, a soft return to presence. And as the spoon stirs gently, the message remains. Elegance isn't lost, only renewed. This is Britain's quiet genius, to change without letting go. This is AfterTime, where the past breathes through the present, and every ritual finds its future.